Hello and welcome back to Building on a Budget Models. I'm Thomas and this is the full build video of the Range Rover 1992 in 1/24 scale by Aoshima. Now my intention for this build is to replicate a Camel Trophy car, specifically the Range Rover 5-door variants used in 1987. Now as this is a road version, there were a few modifications that I would have to do. Firstly, this front lip with the fog lights would need to be removed. I checked where the bumper fit and made sure not to remove those parts, and then set to removing that front lip using my sprue cutters. This wasn't too difficult. I also left on the slots for the front number plate as I felt that those could be useful later on. And as you can see here, most of it is hidden once the front bumper goes on, but I decided to sand it down a little to smooth it off as well. Now these side door protectors also needed to be removed, so I taped over the edges to protect the rest of the bodywork, and started by removing most of the kind of top using my sprue cutters as well. Afterwards I then used these sanding sticks from Ultimate Modelling products to start, and then went on to 320 grit and then 400 grit sandpaper, and it smoothed it out really nice. Really happy with that. My intention was to use TS34 Camel Yellow, but I felt that it was a little bit too bright, so I started by putting down some Tamiya light grey primer, and I felt that this gave the desired effect of kind of dulling down the yellow a little. Here it was after 3 coats. I did some of the rubber trim and bumpers in semi-gloss black, and here they were fitted into place. The fitment of these parts is really nice. There were no chrome or exposed metal parts. Now for the undercarriage, these axles are fitted in kind of a strange way, but they turn quite nicely. I decided to assemble all of these parts and then paint them all at once. There's a skid plate that fits here at the front, and then part of the steering mechanism fits into the edge of that. The gearbox is a separate part, which I joined together and painted silver. I also added in some aluminium paint for the engine detail, and I painted the brake discs in silver with the calipers in black. Most of the undercarriage parts were painted in semi-gloss black. It's important not to glue these steering parts so that the wheels can turn from side to side, like so. The exhaust was done in silver. There's then this suspension part in the middle which goes into place before the rest of the exhaust does. And then you can add the rear axle as well. This clips to the undercarriage really nicely. I masked off everything except the window trims, which were then done in semi-gloss black. Now the door handles here also need to be done in semi-gloss black, so I masked all around them and then painted over them by hand. Because I used acrylic paint here, the excess could be scraped away if you worked quickly. Now here I used some spare sprue to make some bull bars. I found this curved part, which was the right sort of width, and then found this part with perpendicular lines to glue it together using some Tamiya poly cement. Gave it a little trim and some extra glue on the back. And I was happy that it was all solid. I then sprayed it with some grey primer and then some semi-gloss black paint. I then went back to the door handles where I added a little bit of the chrome tape that came with the kit. I then used this snorkel which was left over from a Tamiya Toyota Celica rally car. Now for the roof rack, I found some rectangular pieces of sprue which were roughly the right sort of size. Removed all the excess and sanded them down to be as smooth as possible. I then used some spare bits of sprue in these 7cm lengths to make the kind of cross pieces at the bottom, and used some super glue gel to fit them all together. Then used a small bit of sprue in each of the corners to fit it together. Used super glue gel again with these, and then used some flat pieces of styrene to create supports that would fit it to the roof. Painted that black, and here it is. Pretty happy with that. Dashboard was also done in semi-gloss black. Comes with 2 gear sticks for a kind of low range and high range. This kit comes as right-hand drive only, but I think with a bit of work you probably could convert it to left-hand drive should you want to. There's a few decals, then including this Range Rover one which goes at the front and the back, and this little Landrover badge which goes onto the grille. Also printed out my own custom decals for the Camel Trophy logos. Wheels were done in the same yellow as the rest of the bodywork, and I used a little bit of iron paint for the nuts. The interior was done in a kind of matte sand. The door cards were done in ochre with details in sand, and also the wooden decals from the kit. The front seats have also got armrests which go in the middle. These can be put into different positions, up or down, depending on how you want the car to look. It's important to put these door cards in place before you put the rear seats. The front seats can be slid forward and backwards. I chose to make the passenger seat slightly further back than the driver's seat. There's also a piece with cup holders and things like that which go on the back of the rear bench seats. And there's the interior pretty much finished. There's also this parcel shelf which goes at the back here, although I chose later on to leave this out. This little trim here needs to be matte black, so I masked off the edge first. This clip goes at the back of the underside so that you can fit on the bodywork. I then did the headlights in silver and added the clear pieces. Now helpfully it comes with this chrome adhesive. I used some of this on the back of the indicators and tail lights to give it more of a reflectiveness. Then used Sharpies to colour in these clear parts. You can also use these chrome stickers for the mirrors, such as these wing mirrors here. Found super glue gel was really useful here to fit them into place, as there were no pins. The snorkel was done in matte black and then put into place, and then I used some more super glue gel for the rear tail lights. I wouldn't use super glue with these clear parts, except for the fact that I have got the foil on the back which protects the clear parts from fogging up. I left the place for the front number plate in order to build a winch. I wrapped some of this plastic wire around a spare bit of sprue, superglued it into place, cut it out and stuck it to the number plate part. I then also cut out some flat bits of styrene and into a sort of triangular shape and put them on either side. All of these were painted silver. I also used some black panel line accent to add a bit of definition. Now I drew some shapes of windscreen wiper pattern to the front windscreen and then cut this out and added some dirt to make it look like the windscreen wipers had been in use. When I peeled those off, I was really happy with the effect that was left underneath. Also used some more dirt on the underside. This wasn't so much for rust, but mainly to make it look like this had been driving in adverse conditions. When I was happy that the clear part had glued in place, I then fitted it all together. The windscreen wipers need to be drilled out on the correct side using holes B. Holes A would be for a left-hand drive car. The rear wiper fits at the top here, and there's a handle which fits at the bottom of the windscreen here. There's also a brake light in the middle. I considered spraying the sunroof yellow, but I decided that it would let more light into the cockpit so you would see the details in there. I then added the mudguards just with a little bit of super glue gel. These were also painted semi-gloss black. When they were all in place, I then added some more mud to the inside of them, and I attached the roof rack using PVA glue as I was worried about damaging the paint. I put this weighted Greek owl in place. I glued on the bull bars with some super glue gel. I decided to use the number plate from this car here. I printed it off on clear decal paper and I put it on the back only as I'd taken up the space on the front one. I used some Tamiya curved masking tape and sprayed it black and used this as straps for these wheels. These wheels are actually from the Tamiya Honda S600, which I bought from Camel Models. I know that they're not the right size, but on the roof rack it doesn't really matter. These jerry cans were from the Fujimi Garage and Tools set, which I've made previously on the channel. These spare fog lights were also from the Tamiya Celica rally car. And there we are, it's finished. Took these pictures in my garden on a sort of suitably rugged terrain. Please let me know what you think in the description below. This is for this month's Kent Models build-off. I'll keep you posted with the results and let you know how I do. Thanks a lot for watching.